So you're the Rams and you're expected to make or to win potentially 5 games this year. Okay? He's 32 and he makes 30 million and you're going to win 5 games. And you don't have a first round pick for another 2 years. What's he on your team for? You're not a contender anymore and you got an aging quarterback. If I'm the Rams, trading deadline comes, I'm moving that dude. Get him off my books. That makes no sense. Jonathan Taylor's 24. If you're the Rams, do you not call and go, I need a running back? And, we could even franchise tag his ass for $10 million if we had to next year, the Rams. I mean, why would you have Aaron Donald? $30 million makes no sense for a D tackle that your defense is going to get crushed. All right, let's bring my boy Philly.500 in. And, brother, here we are, final exhibition game, right, man?
Yeah, it's the final one. Thank God. It's going to be the slowest one and the hardest one to watch, but we're here. We're here.
Let me throw this at you here. A lot of talk in Philly this morning about should the Eagles make a play for Taylor. I said this. I think the Eagles have the perfect running back in the backfield right now for what they're trying to do. I mean, this kid had – I didn't realize this a year ago too. Philly, this guy had 38 catches. I think it was a year ago. Here it is. He had 48 catches a year ago, 389 and 3 touchdowns. Shit, dude, if he puts those exact numbers up for the Eagles, their offense will be the best offense in the NFL if he just puts those numbers up. I don't see the Eagles going, let's go to an I-back. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. How do you look at that?
I mean, I know there's a lot of talk. I briefly talked about it in my video today. I don't think the Eagles need to go out and get Jonathan Taylor. I think if you're going to trade assets and stuff, I think there are other positions that are much more needed. Like you could use another linebacker. You could use another safety. And I tend to agree with you. I think DeAndre Swift is the kind of running back they need. I think he's going to add a completely new dimension to that offense than what we had a year ago. So I'm not out to go out and get Jonathan Taylor. Plus, you've got to give him a giant contract. I mean, if they were say like, all right, we'll give you, we'll take a 4th round pick or 5th round pick for 1 year, I might take a flyer on it, but I wouldn't be out trying to get it done.
Final week of the exhibition season, your biggest concern as they set the roster, I would say that it's 90. I think that's probably 97% set. And what they're doing right now is, should we carry 7 O linemen or 8 O linemen or 8 D linemen and 7 D linemen? You're looking at positions and rooms on how many guys to carry. What's your biggest concern right now, linebacker or backup quarterback?
Well, if I had to choose between the two, it would be the backup quarterback, just because he looks so bad. But that either of those aren't my biggest fear. I'm telling you the truth. My biggest concern is the punter. I think he stinks. You need to be able to change the field position. And I just don't understand, especially at that position. It doesn't cost you a ton of money to go get a punter. Yet they just ignore it. And that worries me.
How come they don't address special teams? I mean, and it's almost like this. Hey, look, you took a gamble on Jalen Carter. Why not take a gamble on Matt Ariza and bring him in? I mean, and look, if you do your due diligence and everybody does all their work on this and you go back over all the crossing of the T's and dotting of the I's and you feel comfortable in this, can you imagine adding a guy to your team that could, every time he kicks the ball, it's a 47-yard net? I mean, you help your defense with that move.
Yeah. I think it's a big deal. And I don't know. I mean, I thought from everything I heard, the kid was pretty much cleared, right? Didn't they just have Josh Sills just got found not guilty?
Yep.
He's back with the team. So I don't understand it. And I don't think it would cost you a lot of money to get a punter. And if you don't want to get him, get somebody else. But that, to me, that right there, special teams is my biggest concern going into this season.
When you look at what's being said now at the number 3 wideout, looks like Quez has lost his job. I mean, they did everything in their power to want to give him that job. And I got to show you this here too. I wrote this down and I kind of compared, people are saying, well, the Cowboys got a really good passing offense. And I went, Tony Pollard had 39 catches, 371, 3 TDs. Swift had 48, 389, and 3 TDs. This is just passing game, not counting the rushing. CD 107, 1359. AJ 88, 1496, and 11 touchdowns. Then you go Brandon Cooks, 57, 699, and 3. Devontae, 95, 11, 96, 7. Then you go Michael Gallup, 39, 424. Even Quez, 33, 354, 3 touchdowns. Then you had Goddard, 55, 702, and 3. And some dude named Jake Ferguson for the Cowboys. I'm telling you, Philly, this offense here with the Eagles could be the best offense in the NFL. How many places do you know that have all of this at their disposal in the passing game?
Yeah, and not many. But here's the big difference between any team that, like, if you want to take like Cincinnati or Miami or any of these teams that got all these weapons, the one thing the Eagles have that they don't have is the Eagles have the better offensive line. They've got the best offensive line in football, in my opinion. So you're taking all these weapons and you're adding. I mean, like, look at the Bengals. I mean, they got good weapons and Chase and Higgins, but their offensive line stinks.
And the tight end is a question mark.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the Eagles, and if you add Swift and they use him the way you're talking about, where he's getting maybe 40 catches, if you add that element, I don't know how you stop the Eagles when you have all those weapons. You have to worry about Jalen Hurts running, and now they've got a running back that they're willing to throw to if need be. I think they're very hard to beat.
I want to throw something at you that I talked to Joy Taylor the other day and James Jones did. And, again, they had a conversation, and they were talking about Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts. And I was like this, wow. Justin Fields, I'm not even sure he's an NFL quarterback. Still, They said this, well, if you put Justin Fields on the Eagles, don't you think his numbers, he threw 17 touchdowns last year, and you can't name a guy. I couldn't name a guy from a year ago either. He had 1,100 yards rushing on an awful football team. You put I guess their point is, you should be doing great things with the talent that I just mentioned. Don't you think? I mean, nobody's ever going to do this, Philly, and go like this. 3,700 yards passing and 22 touchdowns. You're not going to put that in an MVP conversation if you're 10-7. You're just not. My point is, they're making it sound like anybody could come into Philadelphia and put those numbers up, or even better numbers, because of because of the weapons that they have. Is there any context? Or how do you look at that conversation?
Here's how I kind of see it. Like, I look at a lot of quarterbacks that come into the National Football League, and I think they all have talent. They don't get to the NFL without having talent, but it's how you develop. I mean, I think certain quarterbacks, if they would live with certain coaches, they would have better careers than they do. And I think the one thing that people miss with Jalen Hurts is the inner stuff, the mental part of the game. He's mentally strong. He's a leader. Like, these are the things, and the drive. Same with Tom Brady and what Tom Brady gave you. I think those things you can't teach. And I don't know very many players that have what I've seen from Jalen Hurts in that way. I don't know that Justin Fields could do what Jalen Hurts has done, because I think a lot of what Jalen Hurts has done is up here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference.
See, I look at him kind of like Steph Curry, Jalen Hurts. I think he's got a lot of talented people around him, and I think it starts with you. And it's your job to get Draymond the ball. It's your job to get other people the ball, Clay. It's when they had Durant on the team. It's you fitting everyone in. And I guess where I'm going with that is, I probably think his greatest asset, besides the hard work and all that, he's patient with everyone. I mean, he'll throw the ball out of bounds, dude. He'll
Yeah.
never take minus yards. He's a smart,
Smart.
his 3,700 or 3,800 yards a year ago. To me, are you trying to tell me that you really think the guy in Minnesota's 4,500 yards were more valuable than the 30? I think it's the quality of yards versus the quantity of yards.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's something to that, definitely. Yep.
Two last questions for you here. Smith, Carter, Brown, Steen. First year guys, who has the best year?
I think Jalen Carter. I mean, everything that we've seen from this guy, he's still going to be a monster. I think Jalen Carter is going to have the best year out of all of them, and I think Nolan Smith is going to be pretty good, and I think Sidney Brown's going to be pretty good, and I think this guy. But I mean, I think Jalen Carter is a beast. I mean, just everything we've heard from him, I expect big things from him.
I want you to do me one favor. I posted a video of Mozzie Smith, and I put it on my my Twitter page and on my private YouTube channel, Big Sills TV, and I just randomly took it, dude. I watched this guy Mozzie Smith take false steps, awful steps, slow steps, and I random.
Right.
Brian Baldinger goes like this, Sills. This is unbelievable. I went. I mean. I don't see it, dude. But when you watch Carter, even Jordan Davis has a quick first step. I watch this guy Mozzie Smith, and I'm like, that dude is the next Danny Noonan. He is not going to make it, man. I don't.
Danny Noonan.
Dude, this guy's got 2 left feet. He's got 1 foot in the bucket. I mean, the Cowboys are trying to tell me he's the next Reggie White.
I love hearing this. You can keep talking. I can listen to this all day. This is music to my ears.
Last one here.
I agree.
Go ahead. Well, I mean, have you watched him at all?
I've watched a little bit of him in the Seattle game, and there was nothing special. And I'm thinking, these Cowboy fans are telling me this guy's supposed to be up there with Jalen Carter. They're crazy. They're absolutely crazy. So
who is going to? Hey. Who do you think, final question, last two Eagle coaches, who has the better year, Andy Reid or Doug Peterson?
Andy Reid. I'll say Andy Reid because I have the Eagles and Chiefs in the rematch of the Super Bowl. So I think you'd have to give it to Andy Reid.
Wow.
I like Doug Peterson, though, but yeah, I'll say that.
How about this? Does Doug get to the AFC Championship game against Andy?
That's a great question. See, that AFC is so. I mean, the AFC is so stacked. You know, like you got Cincinnati, you got Baltimore, you got. I don't know what to expect from Miami with Tua, the Chargers. Although they seem to always choke at some point. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, but that AFC is really loaded.
Absolutely is. Philly, I know you're swamped this time of the year, man.
Yes.
Thank you so much, man, for coming on and doing this. Make sure you guys check out my boy's podcast. It's absolutely off the chain. By the way, on Thursday, are you watching the game, streaming the game?
Yeah, I'll be streaming. I'll be streaming the final. We'll be watching on my boy McKee, the quarterback. I love that kid.
Okay, so wait, you think McKee can beat him out?
I don't think they'll do it because Mariota's got a veteran, but he's played better. He's looked a lot better than Mariota. I would love to see him play with the second team, but I don't know Mariota. I don't know. I think it's something mental. Like, this guy misses wide open guys, and it's not like he's getting pressured or anything. I think it's completely mental with him.
Let me sneak this in on you though. Don't you think it's this? I mean. Don't you think it just accentuates how hard of a job Jalen actually has that maybe because Mariota's never looked this bad, even in Tennessee with the Raiders and with Atlanta. Don't you think this maybe Philly, maybe the backup guy's not in the NFL. Maybe he's not even in college yet. I mean, finding that backup guy may be a harder thing than what people really think because what you're asking Hurts to do, he's got to read on the fly. He's running RPO. He's got to be
Yeah.
accurate. He's got to implement all those players. Hey, dude,
Yeah.
how many teams have talent like we just mentioned where you got to get the ball to everybody? That's not as easy as people think it is.
No, no, especially the guys on our team. I mean, they got a lot of guys that want the ball, so it is tough. I'll tell you what. If Malik Willis gets cut, I would pick him up in an instant, because I think if you could develop him over the next few years, he could be a decent backup for you.
I'll take that kid Robinson if the Browns cut his ass too. That kid that played. I mean, he's listed 4th on the depth chart right now.
Yeah,
if they get that Dorian Robinson kid, if they cut him, I'd be interested in bringing him and signing him and bringing him in. Make sure you watch Philly's podcast, man. He really does an awesome job, and we so appreciate his time when he comes on the program here. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. I will talk to you. Peace.
You got it, man. That is Philly.500. Make sure you check my boy out. Don't forget also to check us out when we come to Philadelphia, when we're going to be hosting so many great parties at the King of Prussia Hooters. We are inviting you to join us at the 40th anniversary of all the Hooters, man, in the Northeast section. All you have to do to go to northeasthooters.com to find one of the 7 locations nearest to you. Schedule your draft party or your fantasy draft party and go in and have yourself one whale of a time throughout the NFL season. Last exhibition week is this week. Then we kick it off in 2 weeks, the regular season to the NFL. Iconic Hooter girls will be serving you. And this is the 40th anniversary of Hooters, and we're so proud to be part of it. We thank everybody. Great traditions go on. Tuesday, this is, look, buy 10 wings, you get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. That's significant because that's when it was founded. All you can eat. You got it. Kids eat free on Saturdays. 6 items, $6. Your favorite draft, your favorite fried pickles, some of the great events that we have on the menu there too. Please make sure you get them. Love the sandwiches. Spectacular. Go to northeasthooters.com to find one of the 7 locations nearest you. And when you go to Hooters, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.